The U.S. Supreme Court recently ruled that former President Donald Trump has absolute immunity for his core presidential acts. This decision has significant implications for how presidential powers and immunities are understood and applied in future cases. Let's break down what this ruling means, its background, and its potential impact. Firstly, the concept of presidential immunity isn't new. Historically, U.S. presidents have been granted a degree of immunity to ensure they can perform their duties without fear of constant litigation. This immunity is meant to protect the office, ensuring that the president can make decisions and take actions without being hindered by personal legal consequences. The Supreme Court's ruling specifically addresses core acts of the presidency. These core acts are defined as actions that are directly related to the president's constitutional responsibilities, such as signing bills into law, issuing executive orders, and making decisions on foreign policy. The ruling states that for these specific actions, the president is shielded from civil suits and certain criminal prosecutions. This means that Trump, in his capacity as president, cannot be held legally accountable for decisions that fall within these core duties. The case that brought about this ruling revolved around several lawsuits and investigations targeting Trump's actions during his presidency. These included issues such as his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, the response to the protests following George Floyd's death, and his efforts to challenge the results of the 2020 presidential election. Trump's legal team argued that he should be immune from these suits because they pertain to his official duties as president. The Supreme Court's decision underscores a fundamental principle. The president must be able to perform his constitutional duties without fear of interference or personal liability. However, the ruling also makes it clear that this immunity is not all-encompassing. It applies strictly to actions that are considered part of the president's core responsibilities. This distinction is crucial because it means that a president could still face legal challenges for actions taken outside the scope of these duties. For instance, any actions that are deemed personal or unrelated to the official duties of the presidency do not fall under this umbrella of immunity. This includes actions taken before or after their presidency or those that are personal in nature. Thus, if a former president were to engage in activities that are not tied to their constitutional role, they could still be subject to legal scrutiny and potential prosecution. The ruling has sparked a wide range of reactions. Supporters argue that it is essential to protect the presidency and ensure that the office can function effectively. They contend that without such immunity, presidents could be bogged down by frivolous lawsuits and constant legal challenges, hindering their ability to govern. On the other hand, critics argue that this level of immunity can lead to abuses of power. They are concerned that presidents might feel emboldened to take controversial or potentially illegal actions, knowing they are shielded from legal repercussions. The Supreme Court's decision will likely influence how future presidents navigate their responsibilities and the legal risks associated with their actions. It reinforces the idea that while the presidency is a powerful office, it is also one that must operate within certain legal frameworks. Future presidents will need to carefully consider which of their actions fall under their constitutional duties and which do not. Moreover, this ruling may prompt further legal and legislative debates about the boundaries of presidential power and accountability. There may be calls for clearer definitions of what constitutes a president's core acts and more explicit guidelines on presidential immunity. Lawmakers and legal experts might seek to balance the need for an effective presidency with the imperative of holding presidents accountable for their actions. In summary, the Supreme Court's ruling that former President Trump has absolute immunity for core acts of the presidency reaffirms the protections afforded to the office while also delineating the boundaries of such immunity. This decision will shape the legal landscape for presidential actions and accountability, ensuring that while presidents can perform their duties without undue legal hindrance, they remain accountable for actions beyond the scope of their official responsibilities. As the implications of this ruling unfold, it will continue to be a topic of significant legal and political discussion.